Good evening. I'm John Robson, filling in for Brian Lilly. Dear government, can we talk? It's me, the citizen here. That's the topic of tonight's Byline. Government, I know we don't get along like we used to when we were young and bold and the world was exciting and we were going to do great things together. Reality's kind of set in, what with all the bills and the old spare tire and stuff. But we can at least be honest with one another, right? Government, we increasingly regard you with contempt. A new Environics poll confirms that Canadians distrust Parliament, politicians, and political parties. And we say you're not interested in what we think. Now, I realize that feeling of contempt might be mutual. After all, you listen hard to find out what free stuff we want, then you give it to us, and we vote for you. So you might think we're stunned, whiny, and gullible rubes and wonder why we're making all this ruckus. But honestly, you're being clever instead of wise, and you're missing the point. I know it can be hard to hear above the din of the chattering classes advocating more government as the solution to everything, including too much government. Those editorials hailing tax hikes, news stories that call every cut, however minor, slashing, academics peddling nudge theory, and bureaucrats predicting disaster if anything is reduced. For example, the Globe and Mail just editorially advocated municipal sales taxes. There's a growth killer. And NBC's senior political editor just complained that the last Congress passed the fewest bills since anyone kept count, as if the solution to decades of passing hundreds of laws were to start passing thousands of them, or the solution to racking up billions of dollars in debt year after year were to start racking up trillions, as though the whole United States Constitution was an engine cunningly designed to produce ever more government every year. More, I'm still not satisfied is the cry of the smart set, and you in government are clearly happy to oblige. But what we ordinary folks want, even though we sometimes have trouble articulating it, is for you to stop squashing us. And that's the one thing you really can't seem to hear us saying. Consider the boast by Ottawa Mayor and arch politician Jim Watson that municipal taxes will only rise by 2% a year. Okay, they could go up a lot faster, could be worse. And the last guy to promise no tax increases as mayor here didn't really work out. The thing is, though, 2% a year is 10% over 5 years, up a fifth in a decade, actually it's a bit more than that because of compound interest. Also, our water bills are rising, our sewer bills are rising, our hydro bills are rising, always rising. Where are we schlumps meant to find that money? Frankly, things have been kind of tough lately. It's not 1968 for us, with raises every year, a lavish defined benefit pension, and job security. At least, not outside government. I know things are different if you're riding on the gravy train. In Ontario, for instance, teachers make over 90 grand after 11 years on the job. They retire early, they get cushy pensions. And first-class OPP constables get over $90,000 after 3 years on the job. Restraint for police in Ontario is a 5% raise, then a 2-year freeze in which some of them get raises anyway, and then another 8.55% increase. It's not like that out here. Of course, there are still radicals who think that's how the whole world should and can be, as soon as workers, inspired by government, seize the plutocrats by the throat and the wallet. For Occupy types, smashing stuff to try to get by force what they can't get through persuasion or honest toil, it is still 1968 out there. And for politicians dreaming that billions of dollars in smart investments the private sector is too dumb to make will kickstart the sluggish economy, for them it's still 1979 out there, or 1939. But for the rest of us, it's 2015 and things are different. Government, please listen. There's been dramatic restructuring and belt-tightening out here. We don't go to our bosses asking for raises every year, let alone demanding them. We go asking if we'll have jobs tomorrow. And every year, higher taxes and more regulation make it less likely. You're squashing us. And remember, we can't pay your bills if you suffocate us. I know the Harper Tories claim to have shrunk government, but it's just tax code jiggery-pokery, all those loopholes. If they were treated honestly as spending, government wouldn't have gotten any smaller. And you can tell, because every time they're challenged on any issue, they boast of how much more they've spent, not how much less. Plus, the unfundeds are coming to dinner. Those liabilities for future health care, for pensions for government workers, for pensions for citizens, for which no adequate provision has been made in the budget. The unfundeds are coming to dinner, and you in government can't possibly feed them, so you're clearly expecting us to. Do I have to remind you about the parable about killing the goose that lays the golden eggs? Yeah, apparently I do. It's hard to remember now, but when Jean Charest was elected Premier of Quebec back in 2003, he promised to re-engineer the state, which nobody, including him, even knew what it meant. But whatever it was, it didn't happen. Staunch opposition from within the state apparatus and from public intellectuals completely stymied his plans. In the end, government spending in Quebec during his 9 years grew nearly 2/3, almost twice as fast as the economy. Well, you know what happens if government keeps growing faster than the economy? Yeah. For whatever reason, with whatever excuse, the result is in the end, it squashes it. Just ask the Europeans how that turns out. Look, government, we appreciate your good intentions. And yeah, we'll take the free goodies. But we have to talk about you doing less. We have to talk about it to you while we can still breathe. And that's the byline.